Good morning, everybody. This is Felicity Jones, Support Group Coordinator with Parkinson's New South Wales. This morning we're talking with Kathy Melton and Vivian Liu. Kathy's one of our info line nurses and Vivian is one of our counsellors. So today we're going to be talking about disease progression with Parkinson's. And so I'd like to introduce you to Kathy. So if you want to move in, you'll hear me, everybody, from the background, but you won't be able to see me. You guys need to move a little bit closer. There we go. Oops, we're still here.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thanks for having me speak, Vivian and I speak to you today. We're going to be talking about coming to terms with the progression of Parkinson's. Parkinson's is a chronic progressive neurological condition. The cause is not known, and the symptoms are caused by the loss of the dopamine-producing cells in the brain. Dopamine affects mood, memory, and movement. Even though there is a diagnosis of Parkinson's, the dopamine-producing cells in the brain continue to die off, and hence the changes occur. Everyone's journey with Parkinson's is unique. No two journeys are the same. When you're first diagnosed, it takes a bit of coming to terms with. You've probably taken a while to get a diagnosis. But then when you do get that diagnosis, it takes some time to really come to grips with it. Developing Parkinson's is not your fault. You're still the same person, but you're just managing a health condition. And it's not the worst disease you could get. The progression is slow, and you can choose how you react to the Parkinson's. Everyone is affected differently, and symptoms vary from day to day. It takes time to come to terms with the diagnosis, and there's no right or wrong way to react. Some people want to learn all they can about Parkinson's, and others prefer to limit their knowledge and wait until things move along before they start looking into what's going on with them. It's completely normal to feel scared, sad, or angry, and to feel very emotional, and those things can change day to day. You need to take one day at a time and remember that you can cope with life and Parkinson's. Remember that the diagnosis will have an impact on your partners, your friends and family members, and it'll take them time as well to readjust to the new future with PD.
Yeah, just to add on to Kathy's point is at the initial, diagnosis, that first few months, it's a lot of changing that you're all experiencing. It's not only changes with how you're feeling and how, your body is changing, but it also changes the relationship around you, relationship with your spouse, your family members, and people around you, like groups that you attend and all that. They will also notice the changes that you have. And so it's a difficult stage, I would say, in the beginning to experience those feelings of, fear, anxiety, and hopelessness in that way as well. And so, yes, it is easy to kind of focus on the future where anxiety kind of, draws you to, but always, like what Kat, one day at a time, and bring yourself back to the present with what you can do now and what are some things that you can still do continuously, day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Now, the steps in managing the diagnosis. It's very good to educate yourself about Parkinson's. Knowledge means that you can make informed choices about how to manage the symptoms and not to let the symptoms manage you. You don't want the Parkinson's diagnosis to take over everything. You can't ignore it, but you need to learn how's best to manage it. Good symptom management is key to having quality of life. You need to look at how to determine your personal goals, be proactive, practical, and realistic about what you can do. And so stay positive, keep up with your sense of humour, laugh. You need to find and connect with a neurologist who you feel comfortable with and where there's good two-way communication. where the neurologist listening to you and you're listening to them. Never be going in there telling him, yeah, I'm great, or I didn't want to worry him. This is what you need to be doing, is diarising what's happening, giving good feedback, because the doctors want to know what's happening to you when you're not sitting up there right in front of him. You need to build a team around you to support and assist managing the symptoms. You can't do it by yourself. It can't be done alone. Now, the team really includes a neurologist, a speech pathologist, physio, dietitian, occupational therapist, counsellor, as well as your family member's carer. Seek someone who you can talk to about your diagnosis and about your future plans. Counselling is a great way to do that. It's someone outside of your family group that you don't feel you're burdening, but you can have a frank discussion about how you want to go forward and make some plans. Day at a time is all you can do, but you need to be making some plans and some goals that you want to achieve. You need to be thinking about how to create some healthy habits, getting into good habits, be active, exercise, eat a healthy diet. All these things really support, a day-to-day quality of life with good symptom management. Medication on time every time. I know we preach this all the time, but it's so important. And you need to report and diarise the effectiveness at your medical appointment, so that everyone's on the same page about what's working, what's not, what needs to be tweaked, how better to manage things. Good stress management is very important. Stress makes your symptoms worse, and so that's really something to bear in mind about how to lessen that stress. There's stress in everything every day. You want to try and minimise that as best you can. Maintaining good socialisation, so you've got some things to look forward to, some plans, support groups, exercise groups, online options. You need to think about that. Good socialisation is very important, where, for all human beings, we all need to do that. You need to review your hobbies, because you want to maintain them as best you can. But you need to look at how maybe you can do things differently so you can maintain those hobbies in some way, not putting yourself at massive risk. Be flexible, adapt to change, and consider all options. Don't just give up. Let's look at your life, this hobby, how can you do it, under limitations. And also you need to be asking for help. Professional support can be very positive. There's no shame in asking for help. It's really important to ask for help, and that can be at the start of your journey, along the way, anytime. If you need to ask for help, put your hand up.
I think the feelings of shame and fear is a big one, as you kind of notice the changes of the symptoms. For example, if you never had any tremors and you suddenly have tremors, it will, get you to panic or feel the anxiety, and then it will kind of paralyze you to not reach out and feel that shame of, I'm already losing stuff. Why don't I just keep losing? But having that, it won't kind of make things better if you stay in that state. And it not only affects you, like I said before, it affects people around you as well. And so it's important to develop self-compassion. Self-compassion is a very big thing, not only for people with Parkinson's, but also for carers as well. So how would it look like? It's, say something affirmative to yourself every day. I am awake today, I'm able to get dressed today, or I am able to make a cup of tea for my wife or husband today. That's something that, is a small goal, but that's something that you've achieved. And it's something that can make you feel happy. I can see that Doreen's shaking her head to her sister beside her, I think. They probably they share something together. Do something together that connects you with your carers or your spouse or husband or kids. Because really, beyond Parkinson's itself, you have that relationship with people that are important. It's not just about the disease, but also the relationship that's connecting both of you together. So yes.
And so managing the progression of Parkinson's, because Parkinson's is a progressive condition, it's going to progress. But you need to focus on the person and not just on the Parkinson's. You know, there can be issues with cognition, about making informed choices with the progression of Parkinson's. Therefore, it's encouraged that early discussions occur with the carer, with the family members about long-term care management. You need to discuss with your partner, carer and family members how you see your care needs developing and at the beginning of your Parkinson's journey. Once you get over that initial shock, and then start thinking about, okay, let's think about how we're going to go forward with this, and making sure that everyone's aware and have opportunity to express their wishes, what they're happy to participate in, and how you see things going forward. That care planning can really help, and it needs to be flexible and to be reviewed whenever it is necessary. Advanced care directives are a good way to start the conversation with family members who might be, you know, so that they can actually, if you don't discuss things, they're not actually going to understand how you want to be cared for, what you would be happy to do, but that, you know, it's something that it can't become a shock to them. You need to be looking at how you can go forward with that conversation so that people understand where you're coming from. Now, medication reviews can assist with the symptom management. They will be, though, less effective as the condition progresses. So there's not a magic pill to help with all of the symptoms, but certainly good feedback can't be expressed strongly enough that you give good feedback to your neurologist about that. Get those medications reviewed as often as possible. If there's issues with things like hallucinations, then a reduction in medication can improve that, but you may need to trade off a bit with your mobility. So if you're feeling better and not having so much problem with the hallucinations, but you're a bit less mobile, you know, that may have to be a trade-off. You know, manage the basic things well all the time. Every single day you need to manage those basic things well. So healthy eating habits plus good fluid intake plus exercise. That reduces the risk of constipation. It also reduces the risk of falls and reduces the risk of postural hypotension. So those sorts of things, from day one, those things are very important. Do those basic things well, and that improves your quality of life. Now, one thing to bear in mind too is the carers. Not everyone can fulfill the role of the caregiver, and this needs to be discussed with the family members so that all people involved have choices about and can put some thought into what they can be doing and what they're prepared to do. I know no one wants to reside in an aged care facility, but something you need to think about is that if the care required by the person with Parkinson's cannot be provided by the caregiver and the family, then informed decisions need to be made about how best to care for that person with Parkinson's. They need to have their care needs met, and so have to think about the very best way that this can be done. So it's all about good symptom management for quality of life. Thank you.
Yeah, often with making plans and with care planning, a lot of emotions do come up around it because, you know, with carers, they often feel guilty or ashamed being able to care for them and therefore put them at, you know, aged care facility. Whereas, and then the person with Parkinson's will often feel that, you know, oh, my life is deteriorating, there is no more hope. So that's often the feelings that we often have to talk about and discuss and, you know, open up the conversation around for the best care for both of you, and how we manage around it. Care planning also involves family. I did write here that, you know, it's good to start conversations with family members. So what kind of support do you think you need from them? Reaching out, you know, maybe just from one person might be a good idea once a week, because in that way, you know, that family member can also connect with the person with Parkinson's or the carer themselves, and it builds further, you know, social relationships and all that as well. So it's a good thing as well. Yeah, and the legalities help, you know, enduring power of attorney and things like that. But a big thing is bucket list. Have a bucket list of things that you want to do together as a couple or do with your friends. Tick those things off. It might be, you know, going and buy a new pot of plant or going and have a KFC meal. One of those things, you know, it's you can always put it together and do it with your friends or families. It builds relationship and connection together, which is very good and beneficial. Yes. So I think I'm done with my point here.
Okay.
Yes.
We're all squishing in here, as you could probably tell. I've got to try to get a different screen set up next time for all of us when we're working together doing this. But yeah, I want to thank, it's a short presentation, but a good presentation, jam-packed with lots of good information. I want to thank Kathy and Viv for that. I think some of the notes that I took, one of the best things is you know, make sure that you get a good start, even if you haven't started off well when you first got your diagnosis. You can start today. You know, it's never too late to be able to start new things today. You know, positive affirmations, keeping a positive focus rather than dwelling on the negative and things that are wrong. It's important to dwell on the positive as well as you can.